Good evening, Bahamas. You're tuned into NB12. Coming up tonight in news, a man found guilty of the murder of banker Stephen Sherman. A husband and wife charged with manslaughter. The alleged victim is their daughter. Government intends to break down gambling referendum costs in Parliament. Plus, was the FNM forced to foot the bill for a ceremony held at Government House for its newest senator? We've got those stories and a whole lot more tonight. I'm Monique Tude, and NB12 starts now. Topping news tonight, an alleged hitman is now a convicted murderer. After deliberating for several hours, a 12-member jury found Ginaldo Farrington guilty today of the 2012 murder of banker Stephen Sherman. Jasmine Bonamy has the details.
The jury began their deliberations around 11:45 this morning after Justice Jones instructed them for more than an hour this morning. Justice Jones told the jury this morning that the prosecution's case stands or falls on the confession. Farrington is accused of fatally shooting Stephen Sherman outside his home back in February 2012. Stephen Sherman's wife, Renee, and another alleged co-conspirator, Cordero Bethel, were acquitted last week. Farrington has denied any guilt, saying police forced him to sign a confession by placing ammonia-laced plastic bags over his head and hitting him in the chest with handcuffs while he was interrogated at CDU on February 24, 2013. After nearly 3 hours of deliberations, the jury returned with unanimous verdicts on the murder charge, conspiracy to commit murder charge, and one of the armed robbery charges. On the second armed robbery charge, they returned an 8-4 guilty verdict. After the verdicts were read, Sherman's family sobbed in court. As Farrington was being led outside, he smiled and laughed at Sherman's family. Outside, he shouted to family members that he had been railroaded. Stephen Sherman's family reacted outside court, saying they are pleased with the verdict.
We are elated. We are satisfied that the jury rendered an excellent verdict. It was unanimous on all counts, with the exception of one count that was, I think that was the abatement, 8-4. But it still is a victory for us. It's a victory for us, and now we can begin the process of healing. It's been rough, It's been rough,
But Renee Sherman's family says they believe justice was not served in the case, as they believe the wrong man was convicted. Her brother, Mark Knowles, attended court today and admitted there is bitterness between both families. He added that his sister is also planning to take legal action against her husband's family for statements his brother has made after she was acquitted. But for now, he says they are trying to regroup.
There's a lot of bitterness. We accept that. But at the end of the day, the court has vindicated her. And so if the court has vindicated her, he's free to make whatever comment he wants. But he must also know that whenever he makes those comments, he's going to be held liable. And we make no apology for that. She's in Andros now. She's reflecting, and we expect for her to be back here. Actually, I'm going to join her in Andros in the morning. And we're going to spend the week across there as we share and as we talk, and then we're going to map the plan forward. But one thing is sure, legal actions are coming.
Meantime, Farrington was remanded to Her Majesty's prison. He returns to court for sentencing on November 28th. Reporting for NB12, I'm Jasmine Bonamy.
And a 19-year-old woman is dead, and her parents have been charged with causing her death. The couple appeared before Chief Magistrate Joyanne Ferguson Pratt today. Christina McNeil has the details in this report.
Manslaughter by negligence. That's the charge a couple is facing after their daughter died just over 2 weeks ago.
57-year-old Wenzel Johnson and 47-year-old Faye Williams appeared unmoved as they entered the courtroom and had the charge read to them. It is alleged that on Monday, September 23rd, the pair caused the death of 19-year-old Juliet Johnson by negligence. According to Superintendent of Police Paul Roll, head of the Central Detective Unit, Juliet was brought into the hospital 1 week prior to her death, unconscious and unresponsive with numerous injuries. She was monitored for that week but didn't pull through. Police investigations led them to question her parents, which subsequently led to their arrest and the manslaughter charge. Attorney Heather Hunt petitioned the court for bail on behalf of both Johnson and Williams, to which the prosecution had no objection. Ferguson Pratt granted bail in the sum of $15,000 each with 2 shorters. The pair is also required to report to the East Street South Police Station on Tuesdays and Thursdays before 6 p.m. The prosecution indicated it intends to proceed by way of a voluntary bill of indictment after the Attorney General's office reviews the case. The couple will return to court on January 15th at 12 p.m. Reporting for NB12, I'm Christina McNeil.
After admitting to inadvertently providing a figure of $5 million for the cost of the January 28th gambling referendum and then providing a new figure, Minister of National Security Dr. Bernard Nottage said today the public will see a breakdown of exactly how the money was spent as early as tomorrow. Paige McCartney has more.
Nottage fell under heavy criticism by the public and the opposition after the slip-up, with the Free National Movement calling on the minister to be transparent and provide a detailed breakdown of how the $1.2 million was spent for the January poll. Nottage, who spoke at a Rotary Club of Nassau meeting at Luciano's today, was quick to defend his mistake and said the decision to make the cost and breakdown public has nothing to do with calls from the opposition.
Me, as a politician, I'm very protective of my integrity, and nobody has to ask me to table it. I will table it tomorrow morning.
But skepticism has arisen regarding the government's new, much lower figure, with many questioning where the $5 million approximation came from and whether it's the actual cost. Nottage, who released a statement yesterday saying that he made it clear he was uncertain about the exact cost when he spoke with reporters last week, said he will not address the matter anymore.
I've indicated to you and the public and to your superiors in the Nassau Guardian and cable TV what my view is on the situation. I've corrected myself. I made a mistake, and it doesn't matter why the mistake was made. It was regrettable. I think that it could have been handled differently by the press, but I understand, and so I accept it, but I'm not commenting any further on that matter.
Opposition leader Dr. Hubert Minnis has called on the Prime Minister to step down as Minister of Finance because of the perceived discrepancy between the figures Christie and Nottage gave for the referendum cost. He said yesterday that regardless of how much money was spent on the referendum, the government has placed a strain on public finances through the hiring of consultants, retirees, pensioners, friends, and excess travels all over the world.
Nottage said the overall cost of the January referendum does not include payment to those South African consultants that were hired prior to the referendum. When asked how much those consultants were actually paid, Nottage said it's not in his purview to provide those details. For NB12, I'm Paige McCartney.
However, the Free National Movement doesn't just want a breakdown of the $1.2 million. The opposition is questioning whether the figure of $5 million that Nottage initially gave included those foreign consultants the Christie administration engaged ahead of the gambling referendum. F&M leader Dr. Hubert Minnis insisted today that the initial figure had to come from somewhere.
I want the entire cake. Tell me what the cake, the icing, and the box cost. I don't want to know what just one slice costs. I want the entire cake.
When parliamentarians return to the House of Assembly tomorrow, Minnis says the opposition wants more than just a breakdown of the $1.2 million spent on January's failed gambling referendum. He says the public should also know how much was spent on consultants from the United Kingdom and South Africa.
I need all the ancillary costs, especially the group that had come in from South Africa, the accounting group, who we never knew what was paid to them. Now, their bill is a part of this package. Their bill could be 2-3 million, I don't know. So that must be tabled. The Bahamian people must know. We all must know how our money is being spent.
Last year, London-based consultants advised government on gambling issues ahead of the poll, but their recommendations were never made public. Then in January of this year, Prime Minister Christie met with South African consultants who advised government on gaming legislation. Minnis questioned whether their fees brought the amount government spent up to $5 million.
All of that is a part of the referendum, and all of that may possibly make up the $5 million. It may be more, I don't know. And that is why it's essential for transparency to prevail. It's essential to be accountable to the people.
Voters rejected the taxation and regulation of web shops and the establishment of a national lottery. However, the matter is still before the courts and web shops remain open. Regardless of what was spent, Minnis says even $1.2 million is a lot for an opinion poll.
An opinion poll, we could have gotten statisticians or individuals from COB to do that so that they could have made some money. I don't think it would have cost that much. I think that's an overspending for an opinion poll.
New Free National Movement Senator Carl Bethel received his letter of appointment at Government House this morning, officially marking the former MP's return to frontline politics. However, some senior F&M members are up in arms after a Government House representative reportedly notified the opposition that it would have to foot the bill for the hour-long reception held following the brief ceremony. NB12 obtained this copy of the Government House banquet event order sent to the F&M. It shows over $1,000 in food charges, $876 in beverage charges, and a $500 rental fee. Senior F&M officials tell us the party was informed yesterday that Government House has no money in its budget just 4 months into the new fiscal year. Party officials confirmed that the F&M spent $2,474.26 on the reception, which was serenaded by the Defense Force Band. Meantime, at this morning's ceremony, Bethel vowed to return to Government House in 2017 when he says he hopes opposition leader Dr. Minnis would be sworn in as the 4th Bahamian Prime Minister.
It is my conviction to defend ardently the outstanding record of the past 3 Free National Movement administrations. And you'll forgive me if I also point to that glorious, hopefully soon, tomorrow, when we will stand in this place and swear in a new F&M government under the leadership of Dr. the Honorable Hubert A. Minnis and his deputy, the Honorable Loretta Butler-Turner.
Bethel says it requires the good faith efforts of both sides to address many problems that confront the Bahamas, including what he called a struggling economy, burgeoning national debt, and a horrendous crime wave. He says government will have its way, but the opposition will have its say, adding the F&M will do its best to ensure the PLP lives up to its many election promises.
Well, I think that the Bahamian people would say that they've not been very successful at this point. But we know that the country is beset by forces beyond its control, which would limit the ability of any government to deliver on election promises. That's why you should be careful what promises you make and not make wild promises when you are out there without regard to what the true situation is.
Bethel also served as F&M Chairman, Attorney General, and Minister of Education under the Ingram administration.
My party's mandate is to build and develop an opportunity-based society where Bahamians are empowered, and to create an environment that will increase Bahamian ownership in all aspects of our Bahamian society. Mr. Bethel will play a key role in ensuring that this is realized.
The new leader of opposition business in the Senate replaces Desmond Bannister, whose resignation took effect September 30th. Bethel says he looks forward to Bannister's prompt return to frontline politics. And still to come, the National Security Minister responds to claims that police officers are tired. The details of that story and more on the other side of the break.